Having seen the product demo, let's understand the most critical part, why agentic AI for invoicing, right? So for that, first, let's understand the evolution of the automation, right? So typically there are 4 stages of the evolution. So where there was work getting done from the manual to then there came the RPA to Rato, then uh, AI, right? So even the AI has seen the different evolutions. So right now the Chat GPT and all, right? That is on the LLM based AI, right? And now we are into the 4.0, that is the agentic AI based evolution. So I'm sure many of you would have read the or gone through the interview of Microsoft CEO Mr. Satya Nadella's interview that okay, in next 5 to 10 years, all the SaaS based or all the AI will be outdated and everything will be onto the agentic AI, right? So that is what that is where the world is going towards, and Coro's entire ecosystem, including Invoice solution platform, is on the agentic AI, right? It fully automates, right, and it is self-learning enabled. It is action-oriented. It acts independently, unlike LLM-based AIs, which kind of gives you suggestions that okay, this can be done or cannot be done, and so on. Instead of that, it takes action. It self-learns in the process, and in that process, if there are any like rule-based limitations or let's say exceptions, probably that is where RPA or the previous AI fails. It takes the decisions, right, and take the necessary actions in order to overcome and manages those kind of exception. Thus, the kind of use case gets digitized completely. So now, having understood agentic AI, let's understand okay how agentic AI enabled or powered invoice workflow will look like, right, and what kind of high accuracy processing it will bring to the table, right? So the first step I'm talking about, let's say if you're getting an invoice which is in a non-PayPal environment, right, you're getting certain documents. So in that scenario, how this whole process flow will take place. So first thing is you need to, from the various documents which are coming to you, right, you should be able to classify that okay, hey, which are the invoices, which is not the invoice document, right? From the identified invoice document, you should be able to extract data, metadata, right, with the very high accuracy, right? Then you should be able to build the validations and the compliance workflow, and that is where a lot of compliance is needed in terms of AML process, fraud detection, automation, validity of the invoice, or the kind of quantity which is coming to you or quoted over here against the contract and so on. So various level of validation and the compliance checks are needed. Then your autonomous exception resolution process, right? So what if there is an exception or you hit across certain roadblockers, so how to resolve those? Maybe like vendor communications, right? Maybe identifying the pattern and probably suggesting the exception that okay, probably this is a human mistake, this is what this exception means, and if this is what you approve, then probably this invoice will go through the next steps and so on, right? And then for that approval workflow, whatever you need to do it along with real-time integration with your ERPs and the other approval mechanism or the source systems, and then basis whatever the gaps which you have identified. So continuous process improvement, and then post approval reporting to the regulatory authority, right? It's not limited to just FTA. However, in the case of you, it is just FTA at this point of time, but going forward, there will be various regulatory authorities. So identifying, selecting the appropriate regulatory authority and reporting it, right? So now let's, having understood how agentic AI helps in the entire process, let's see the global stats that okay, what kind of impact it has or per 1 million invoices, right? So typically from 15% error rate, right, what has been observed globally, right, in the manual processes and so on, which kind of get reduced to AI-based processes up to 5 to 10%. But with agentic AI, this reduces less than 2%, right? Similarly, in terms of annual time spent on the exceptional handlings and resolution, it automates at least 85% of the cases and provide the resolution, right? Thus, your 85% processes becomes faster and smoother, right? Now, in the approval process, right, where as high as even 10 plus days, we're getting lost into the various approvals to and fro data and document exchange, seeking the reminders and so on. In at least 50%, right? and that too it is very less number, right? This can be digitized even fully, right? But at least in 50% cases, they have seen the acceleration in the approval process, right? And 50% of the time gets saved, right? And biggest one is the cost of errors and the delays, right? Which varies, let's say, from very high to the manual processes, which kind of get reduced to RPA to moderately in certain cases, right? AI again further kind of helped to brought this cost and saving further, right? But with agentic AI, the highest amount of cost savings, penalty reductions, or the reconciliation, the use case which I talked about, right? Financial health checks and all. So, lot many more use cases gets enabled, right? Eliminating or minimizing the cost of errors and the delays to the highest possible extent, right? And it's not just about the cost, but also about your brand savings and other intangible values which it can deliver to you, right? So now let's see the complete office of the CFO, right? But what I was talking about, right? We are arguably the world's only company which has the Agentic AI powered complete office of the CFO. So for that, let me take you a little bit back into the history, right? So let's say Brazil started in 2006, but they digitized uh, after Invoice various other processes like their tax filings, accounts payable automation, and so on, and they took close to 8 years, right? Similarly, other countries which has gone live with Invoice mandate, even for example, you can take India. India GST and digitization journey started in 2017, but even till today, right, in 2025, they have made IMS or other mandatory rules, right, regarding the reconciliation and invoice management systems. They make it mandatory just this year. So it's close to 8 year journey, right? And see, in the similarly process, if you analyze the UAE's vision and the mission, like by becoming the first country in the world which is completely on the AI native and the workflow, right? Plus Vision 2031, where they want to bring a lot many more digitization mandate. Of course, Invoice is there starting 27, but by 2031, right, we are also expecting, given the other countries have evolved, UE also will evolve, and lot many more digitations and the mandates are going to come and hit the UE organizations, right? So, for example, next will be like AP payment, and right. So AP payment will have to have your unique validity checks that okay whether the invoice which you are kind of getting these are the genuine invoice, right? All the TRN number which is coming to you is valid or not, or there is a fake company or some anti money laundering processes are happening around that, what kind of material codes, right, and the quantity which is reflecting whether there is true or not. Then reconciliation against your contract, PO terms and condition, advance payments, LD calculations for the delay, withholding tax calculations, and making the vendor payment seamlessly to avoid any kind of vendor disputes and so on. So complete mandate for the AP side, right, withholding tests and so on. Then your text filing automation, right? You're right, basically in this case of UE, right? And various refund processes, various government might introduce various policies and the incentives specific to certain industry where government wants to drive. For example, most of the countries are driving the industry of the chip manufacturing or defense industries, right, to boost the investments and incentives so that countries can make the most of this AI driven processes or the drone makings for the defense self sufficiency and so on, right? So when they put certain kind of incentive structure around it, so what kind of data you need to do report, what kind of reconciliation you need, which goes beyond the financial health check of the invoice use case which we discussed. This can give you the like your incentive claims, boosting your working capital, right? And also uh, our reconciliation module can go beyond GRC reconciliation, right? They can also can be used for the business level reconciliations, right? For example, your bank statement reconciliations or cash reconciliations, your order versus refund versus cancellations, kind of a reconciliation, various business level reconciliation, and again boosting the working capital and the processes and so on, right? Now, export import, right? So your foreign trade policy, your shipping bill, bill of entry, exports, right? Data extraction, monitoring various licenses, then your incentive claims, basis your industry vertical and the export nature of the export. Then basis your export, if foreign amount is coming to your bank, so bank remittance, reconciliation, reconciling with the export, and so on. So a lot of these process comes into the picture, and ultimately, if you make any mistake.